Let us welcome to the show Professor Boyd Swinburn. I believe you're one of the people who started the Health Coalition Aotearoa group. Boyd, is that correct?
That's correct, and I'm co-chair.
Co-chair, very good, and thank you for giving us some time this evening. Fascinating story, and we're recording this in the evening, but me and Chewie have just watched the story from One News, so we're kind of up to date with what One News reported tonight, which, if I can synopsise again very quickly, it seems that the Associate Health Minister has questioned what would be the ramifications or effect of freezing the tax being paid on cigarettes. So she's doing a bit of a question and inquiry as to what would happen if we did this, and that document's been leaked, and that's what we're responding to. Is that a fair synopsis?
That's a fair synopsis, yep.
Okay.
But this is on top of a few other things that she's done, which we can cover, but yeah.
So let's look at it. Let's ask this question first of all. What is Health Coalition Aotearoa, and kind of what skin have you got in this game to be talking about this conversation?
So we're an alliance of 45 or 50 health organisations that want to improve health and health equity in New Zealand through a reduction in consumption of unhealthy products, especially tobacco, alcohol, and unhealthy food. So it's the medical groups, health groups, consumer groups, community groups wanting to get better health and health equity in New Zealand.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so I guess to go right to the nub of it, let's just say that these investigations by Casey Costello led to a government wanting to freeze the tax on cigarettes. What would not increasing tax on cigarettes do? Like, what would be the outcome from that, in your opinion?
Well, it would make cigarettes progressively relatively cheaper because they're not going up with inflation. Right. And if we know one thing for certain is that people respond to prices. And if the prices go up, then people consume less. If they go down, they consume more. And that's pretty well established for tobacco. And so we would expect that tobacco consumption would not keep going down at the same rate that it is. You know, New Zealand has been tracking down for some time, which is great. And we want to accelerate that. And the current laws in place will accelerate that. But this will help to flatten those out, if you like. And it's just anti-health. It's it's anti-health.
We've had this government cancel Smoke Free 2025.
Yep.
We have a tobacco lobbyist as a minister right now, Chris Bishop, whose father started the taxpayers unions with connections and links to the tobacco industry. Casey Costello has just come from the taxpayers union as well.
Yep.
They're now looking at making cigarettes still be available. That's already been decided, but now cheaper proportionally with them, as you say, not going up. Why? What are your thoughts around why this is happening?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's nothing to do with. It's nothing to do with evidence. It's nothing to do with public health people are calling for. It's actually nothing to do with what they campaigned on for the election, you know.
Yeah.
All this was a complete surprise when it came out in the coalition agreements. So everything that they have called for, the repeal of those smoke-free laws, wanting to bring in smokeless tobacco, chewable tobacco for which there's no demand, wanting to take the excise tax off the heated tobacco, now looking at dropping the CPI adjustment on tobacco. All of this is 100% straight out of the tobacco industry playbook. That's what they've been calling for. And the tobacco industry will be very, very happy with the state of affairs in this government about what they're doing around tobacco. And it's just amazing that we have a health minister who's doing all these anti-health things. I've dealt with many health ministers in the past. I don't think I've seen so many anti-health policies or ideas come out of an associate health minister in such a short space of time.
They keep talking about, out of one side of their mouth, that they still have a plan for reducing smoking. Well, out the other side of their mouth, they're giving us all, making cigarettes more available and more easily accessible. They keep talking about the reducing of numbers. Is the prices going up? Does the research show that's a good way to slow down smoking? In other words, if they don't increase the prices by the tax, is that a reduction of people wanting to pick it up. I'm saying that badly. You know what I'm saying? It's like, does the increasing of price, does that lead to fewer people smoking? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So the relationship between price and consumption is very well known. I mean, we've had so many tax rises and tax hikes and see reductions in consumption that relationship called the price elasticity has been well worked out. Now, in New Zealand, we had many years of hiking up prices far more than CPI, like 10% or plus a year. It started with the key government, and that has really cranked down tobacco consumption in this country. Now, it does get to a point where that starts to run out of oomph. In other words, it becomes progressively less powerful as you get up to the level of taxation that we have at the moment, where a packet of cigarettes costs, what, $45? But by the same token, if you say we're going to make it relatively cheaper because we're not going to adjust it for CPI, you can be sure that that will have an effect on increasing consumption or not bringing the consumption down as fast as we would like it. So, yeah, that relationship is well known. It's a bit nuanced in terms of the size and magnitude of it, and we haven't had those really big increases for the last few years. And I think that's a sense that we've come kind of to the end of the really heavy carrying load of the price rises. But still, it needs to go up by CPI.
I think, I think I'm evidence of this on some level, that when I was a teenager in my younger days working at a petrol station part-time while going to university, you could buy packets of 10 cigarettes. I remember the Paul Malls, you could buy 10 packs, and they got outlawed, of course, because they made them more accessible and more easy. If I was a teenager today looking at $40 or whatever it is for a packet of cigarettes, you're right, the price would be a deterrent for actually having to get them. I just want to ask you one more quick question. Could you mention that they are using tobacco lobby talking points? So for real clarity, let's be gracious and say that the government is not doing the will or the whim or the calling of the tobacco industry. Are you saying that what they are looking to put in place would do nothing but leave the tobacco companies happy, even if they're not aware of what they're doing?
The tobacco industry will be really, really happy with what this government is doing. It is totally out of their playbook. It's what they've been calling for. The links between this government or people within this government and the tobacco industry you've mentioned, I think they're on public record. How much that influence has been direct in what these policies are, it's pretty impossible to tell. But boy, you just look at the pattern, you just put the pieces of the jigsaw together that we know, and that gives you the wider picture.
Professor Boyd Swinburn from Health Coalition Aotearoa, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Kia ora, thanks, Pat.